Hello there, fellow peregrinos. Welcome to the third episode of the Camino de Santiago Pilgrims podcast. My name is Bradley Chermside, and we're going to start this week's episode by answering in my very hoarse voice, because I've been burning the candle at both ends, working quite hard at night in my night job as a singer. By answering 3 frequently answered questions that I see on Camino forums and Facebook groups. So the first one is for those pilgrims that are looking to do the 100 kilometers to get their Compostela, which is the certificate of completion. Many people are asking, what's the best way to get to Sarria from Madrid? Sarria is the point where you would start to... is the starting point for those that are doing the 100 kilometers required to get their certificate of completion, the Compostela. So you would have to go to Madrid Chamartin station, Madrid Chamartin, and you can take a train to Sarria from there. And excuse me, trying to keep my voice from dying there. The slowest train is around about 8.5 hours. The fastest train is 6 hours. The lowest price is €32 and the highest price is $51.90. And I think that higher priced train is the overnight train, which is also the slowest train, which takes 8.5 hours. So to answer that question, yes, Madrid to Sarria, go to Madrid Chamartin station and you can take the train from there to Sarria, where you can hit the ground running. Another question I found on a Camino forum is, what's the best albergue on the Camino? And winning hands down with 25% of the vote, and I would agree with this as well. It's the church albergue in Grañón, which is in La Rioja. And yes, so that is the hands down winner, the Grañón church albergue in, La Rioja. Okay, so we recommend, I've stayed there as well, definitely worth staying. They have a banquet-style dinner. They have a service for pilgrims afterwards, so highly recommend that one as well. Another question that comes up quite frequently is, I've got 1 week left or 1 week free from work. Which Camino could I walk? And I can give you 2 options. There's obviously lots of different options you can have, but 2 good options could potentially be, you could fly to Porto and then you could take a train to a place called Valencia, which is just before the Spanish border. And it's really, really worth crossing the Spanish border. From Valencia, you go across a really... a wide river. Sometimes it's very atmospheric with lots of river fog and mist, and really, really, really nice crossing that. So go to Valencia from Porto. You can get a train from there. You would need to go to São Bento stations. That's São Bento station in Porto. And yes, you get the train from there to Valencia, and then you can walk across the border from there into Tui, which is on the Spanish side. And don't forget, you lose an hour there because the Spanish clocks are on the mainland are an hour ahead. And then you could probably do that in 6 to 7 days, walking and comfortably as well, walking from the inside the Portuguese border, Valencia, into the Spanish side on Tui, and then walking to Santiago from there. So I hope those 3 frequently answered questions have uncovered and cleared up some mysteries for some of you. Okay, so on to this week's interview with Deana Corcoran from Adelaide, Southern Australia. I began our interview by asking her how and why she came to make the decision to walk the Camino de Santiago, the all-important moment. Here's what she had to say.
I have to be honest and say it's when I got my tax check back and thought, oh my goodness, I can do this. I had been watching YouTube videos and had been saving towards it, but that was just the icing on the cake. And so I rushed out the next day and bought my return flights to Spain, and a week later told my partner.
Okay, so you, first of all, thank you, Australian taxman. That was very, very kind of you for, giving you the chance to do your Camino. And you actually booked it before you told your partner.
I did. A week later, they said...
That's very, very daring of you.
Yeah, well, that's one word.
Okay, yeah, devious could be. No, I'm only joking. So let's look at this, because this is interesting, because for lots of people that want to do the Camino but maybe can't, there are some barriers. It could be work, it could be family or partner commitments like you had, and it could be money, but you had one of those just kind of wiped out immediately from the taxman. And obviously, you know, you've seen some videos. How did the Camino come into your consciousness?
I've been trying to think about that. I wanted to do a long walk, but didn't feel safe actually doing it in Australia. So I started to Google how to do that, and the Camino came up. So I watched some YouTube videos, and then of course I watched the movie The Way, and read some books, and I was hooked. And it was just, I was going to do it come hell or high water. I just happened to be able to do it quicker than I thought I would.
So it wasn't a question of if, but when.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
So let's take you to the important moment that you broke the news to your partner. What was the reaction?
Well, she said to me, I've received my tax check. Have you not got yours? You've not said anything. And I said, yes, I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Whoops.
And I think she was a little shocked at first, as everyone said, you won't even walk to the post office. How are you going to walk across Spain? And, yeah, it took 10 months before I flew out, and everyone was really excited for me.
So she was okay with it? She kind of, she pulled your leg a little bit about it at first?
Yes, everyone did.
Right, okay. So walking wasn't something that you did in your spare time normally?
I enjoyed going for a walk, and I went to gym, but I would take the dogs for a walk.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't get up on a Sunday morning and go, I'm going to go for a walk. I love walking on the beach, and that was probably about it. Right.
So you weren't a hiker. This is interesting as well, because, I mean, there's maybe a lot of people that are thinking along the same lines, that they'd like to do it, but they're not regular walkers. What was your training path?
The day I decided to put in more effort, I went to a boxing class and tore the meniscus in my right knee.
Oh, no.
So that pretty much put a stop to any serious training.
Sorry, Deana, you went to a boxing class to train for a Camino?
Yeah. Apparently the cardio was going to be really good for me.
That might come in handy with some of the snorers. I don't know, but no, I'm only joking. So you tore your meniscus, and tell us what happened after that.
So I just had to do some upper body. I did a little bit on the treadmill, and everyone kept telling me I needed to do more, but I'm a little bit obstinate, and I didn't. So I didn't really train for it. I watched a lot of YouTube, and I read a lot of books, and I fussed over my backpack and what to put in it. And that was really my training. That was it.
Okay, so it was a bumpy ride to get there by the sounds of it, but you were, like you said, you were going to do it come hell or high water, come torn meniscus or not. Yep. Good for you. I think that it's, some people that maybe are hesitant about doing the Camino, and, sometimes everything doesn't have to be perfect, does it? I mean, obviously the more training and preparation, the better, but if you know it's just something that you've got to do, you just got to go and do it. Now, let's put ourselves in the place of some Australian pilgrims that are looking to do it. Let's look at your path over to Spain. Where did you fly from? Where did you fly to? How did you get to the starting point?
So I flew from Adelaide into Barcelona. The following morning, I caught the train to Pamplona. I stayed the night in Pamplona, and then I got up the next morning and just started walking. So it was Sydney, I guess, to Barcelona, right? No, Adelaide. Adelaide to Barcelona. And then you took the train from Barcelona to Pamplona. So that was your starting point, Pamplona. Yes, it was.
Fantastic. And that's like an 8-hour bus ride, isn't it? Or something like that from Barcelona.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a long old ride, that one. But I guess when you live in Australia, that's not far, is it?
No, not after a 27-hour flight.
Yeah, it's probably a gift, actually. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting bit of information for any people in Australia that are thinking of walking the Camino and how they can get there. Any particular reason why you started in Pamplona, or was it just convenience?
I actually arrived at the beginning of Easter. So I guess that was a thought, is that it would be busy, and I didn't know whether I could get into Orison, and I didn't think I could do the whole trip to Roncesvalles in one day. Mm-hmm. I was also concerned of the descent coming into Roncesvalles and Zubiri with my knee. I thought and I knew that the first day on Pamplona there was a nasty descent. Mm-hmm. So I made the decision that I would start in Pamplona, and that would probably be better for my knee. And I think it was the right decision. That's
a really, really good point that you've brought up there, because our first Camino, our first podcast guest, Thierry St. Clair, said exactly the same thing. You know, a caveat to starting inside the French border in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port is that it is a cruciate, crunching descent from down into Roncesvalles when you get up to the top of the Pyrenees. So sounds like you actually did do quite a lot of research and investigation.
I did, and I also knew that there was a large hostel that was under renovation, and that it was a race for a bed. And I'm a slow stroller on the Camino, and I knew that I wasn't up for racing for beds.
Okay. All right. So you obviously were off to a good start, but maybe one thing that may or may not have worked in your favour was the shall we say that you didn't train too much, obviously because you had some barriers with your meniscus and stuff. Did you have any problems with blisters in your first few weeks because you hadn't broken your feet in, or your boots in, or your footwear?
No, the first day I wore my shoes is the day I got on the plane. I wore just Brooks Ghost 9 trail running shoes, and I never had one blister.
Okay, so what would you attribute that to? Would that be not wearing boots? Would it be your footwear because you'd worn them lots already?
No,
any specific kind of socks or anything you wore like that?
No, I hadn't worn my shoes before the day I started walking, but they were just trail running shoes, so sneakers.
Right, okay, yeah.
I wore woolen socks, and I did put sports tape on the ball of my foot every morning,
right.
Which I had pre-cut before I even left the country. And
the reason for that was?
Because I've actually I do charity walks in Australia, so I do one-off 30-kilometre walks, and I know that I have a problem with the ball of my foot.
Right.
So before I left, I actually cut up enough tape to last me the trip, so it was easy to put on in the morning, and I had no blisters at all the whole trip.
So you knew the kind of you knew the hot spots where they could flare up, and you prepared for that.
Yeah, I knew my feet before I left. So and I decided that it wasn't a hike after everything I'd read and learned. It was just a long walk, and I wouldn't walk in boots. I would walk in sneakers. So that's what I did.
Because it's just more comfortable.
I think so. For me, it is.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, isn't it? Because most people would recommend that you do walk in boots. And I know my Caminos I've walked in boots, and I did get some pretty bad blisters. And the last one I did in Portugal, I wore trainers and I didn't. So the only issue for me was the waterproof thing, making sure that your sneakers or your trainers, what do you call them in Australia?
Sneakers.
You call them sneakers as well. Okay, so
yeah.
Us Brits we call them trainers, and or runners. You called them as well, didn't you? Runners.
Yeah, they were actually trail running shoes, so they had a good grip on them. They were waterproof.
Yeah,
and
they were waterproof.
Yes.
All right, interesting. Yeah, so I mean, it's maybe trying to find some trail runners that are waterproof. But I guess it depends, because there are some, some tricky ascents and descents, the one into O Sobrero, the cruise de Ferro as well, the highest point on the Camino. So some people will obviously still go for boots, but I mean, it's a debate that you could have for a long, long time, what to wear. But you definitely recommend wearing waterproof trail runners.
For me, and I used walking sticks as well, so that gave me stability.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just for me, it was a perfect combination.
Okay, let's just look at those walking sticks a minute. I've seen lots of different Camino forums and Facebook groups about those. On the plane, were you allowed to check them in, or you put them in your luggage? How did you get them over?
I actually put them in a yoga bag and put them under the plane.
Right. Okay.
I checked them.
Yeah. Okay, so it's probably just to save any stress or confusion through security, that could be the easiest way to go. But obviously, if you're travelling light and you just want to check in some hand luggage, that might not always be possible. But some of them are collapsible as well, aren't they? So that could be a potential. So no blisters. You attribute that to your trail runners and the fact that you knew where your hot spots were. So that was one problem that you didn't have. What about sleeping in the albergues? I had some terrible problems at the very start. What was your albergue survival strategy?
I use silicone earplugs every night.
Silicone earplugs, okay.
And I don't drink, so I think if I'd been able to have a couple of glasses of wine, it would have helped, but I don't. So I used Netflix. So I would watch an episode of something on Netflix and then slowly drift off. I was so tired anyway. The snoring, yes, can be irritating, but for me it was a good lesson in tolerance. Yeah.
I mean, obviously people that snore, they can't help it. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I snore or not. I'm told by my lovely lady that I don't, but obviously people can't help that. And I think one of the problems that was highlighted in the last interview was obviously the people preparing their bags at 4:00 in the morning when they could have done it the night before. That's kind of that could be an issue. So we do recommend doing that before you go to bed. But your Netflix survival strategy, is that a ritual you have at home?
No, not at all. I found with the jet lag when I first started and I couldn't sleep, so I started to watch a bit of Netflix and realised that it just put me to sleep. It was either that or reading. So I read every night before I go to bed, so I'd either watch something on Netflix or read a couple of chapters of a book. Yeah. And just kept up my normal routine of how I sleep at home.
Did you not find after walking so far every day that you'd end up just collapsing onto the bed and going into slumber? No.
You
needed to wind down.
Yeah, I need to wind down.
Yeah, and I guess the Netflix might help take your attention away from the background noise, which there are lots of in the albergue. I think one way I rationalised it to myself was, lots of the albergues, the municipal ones the council ones can be free or very, very, very economical, €5 or whatever. Where else in the world can you spend €5 a night for a bed and a roof to sleep?
Absolutely.
And I thought, there's no way, I can complain about this for the price that I'm paying. Just be grateful that, we're doing this wonderful trip and and these provisions are provided along the way. Even though they might not be perfect, this is part of the character building in a way, isn't it? That's the way I rationalised it. So maybe if someone is kind of, their blood's boiling at the background noise or the torch wielders or stuff like that, it could be a good idea to just, think, actually, this is a really, really good thing we've got here. €5 for a bed, and they're provided every 15, 20 kilometres, sometimes, more often than that. And, that's a good way to go to sleep feeling a bit happier with life, I think. So Netflix was your survival technique. Talking of surviving, Was there one thing in your kit list you feel you couldn't have done without? Apart from obviously the obvious, your rucksack, your sleeping bag, you know, something that you wouldn't ever go on a Camino again without it.
My trekking poles.
Okay, explain what they do for you.
They took a load off of my knees. They just gave me stability on the descents. I'm actually frightened of heights, so it gave me a bit of security when walking down some of the steep descents, and they help propel you going up the hills. I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if I hadn't had them.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because I found myself when I was feeling tired, I would often just pick up a stick from the forest and start, you know, jabbing it into the ground, and it gives you a bit of rhythm as well, I think. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yes, it does.
It's like a bit of it's a bit of a metronome as you're walking, you know, and it gives you a bit of rhythm and a speed to keep to, or a rhythm to keep to.
Yeah. I really enjoyed, and now I walk around home, which is something I didn't used to do, around the town that I live in, and I go walking with my poles.
Right, okay. So walking the Camino in Spain has inspired you to walk a lot more at home as well?
Yes, absolutely.
And how often do you walk at home, and how far?
I live in the country, so there are lots of beautiful walks around here. So we do 5-10 kilometre walks.
Beautiful.
And I still do charity walks, which are usually around 30-40 kilometres.
Okay. And do you take the poles with you then, or is it just a bit more leisurely?
No, I take the poles with me.
Right, so that's your go-to survival strategy for walking. That's the thing that helps you get going.
Yes.
So the poles it is. So you'd recommend definitely people taking poles?
I would. I'm 53 and I have excellent balance now, but before, when I started walking, they were a necessity. And I would recommend them to anybody.
And you feel that helps your meniscus condition?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Because it does give your knees it does take a bit of that force out of your knees and a bit of, a bit of pressure off them, doesn't it? Yeah,
about 25% it takes off of your knees. And you actually, when you're going down on the descents, you actually feel like a goat because you've got 4 legs.
Right, okay, interesting. Never heard it put like that before, but yeah, brilliant. So take some poles and become a goat.
That's it.
Fantastic. I mean, for me, the one thing, I mean, it's really hard to choose, isn't it? But I don't know, like my thing I definitely couldn't do without on my next Camino would be, I don't know if you know what a flexi flask is. I don't mean to condescend, but a flexi flask is like a plastic pouch that goes into the side pocket of your rucksack, and it has it has a tube that kind of extends out of the pocket, goes over your shoulder, and you've got like a little teat that you can just draw water from as you walk, so you don't have to.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you don't have to kind of dig into your pockets for a bottle or something like that. Or take your rucksack off your back every time you want to get some water. So I would definitely recommend a flexi flask. And, same as you, I wasn't much of a walker before I did the Camino, and because I enjoyed it so much, and, I started going for little mini adventures, micro adventures at home with my partner, Rachel, my wife to be very soon. And yeah, it was, I really, really got into it from that. So definitely the flexi flask for me, and the poles for Deana. Okay. So we're going to go from the thing you used a lot to the thing you took, but didn't use and you would never take again, if there's anything there.
Sock liners.
Sock liners, right?
Yeah, I took the Injinji sock liners and never used them.
Okay, so sock liners, leave them at home and save the space. Beautiful, thanks for that. Yep. That's good to know. So let's talk about maybe one thing you wish you'd packed before leaving. You got to the Camino, you're like, oh, I wish I had that.
You know what? I wish I had packed less.
Okay. So what did you discard, or what would you have discarded?
Probably one set of clothes. Probably too many toiletries.
Give us an example of what you took.
I took probably hair products that I didn't need, moisturiser, which I didn't use. I just used the sun cream, an extra pair of pants, a pair of shorts. And I travelled with my fears on my back. I had too many first aid supplies. I never used one Compeed the whole time, and I had about 20 of them. Antibacterial cream, all those things that I thought that I would need just in case, I didn't. There were pharmacies in every small town.
True.
The large cities, if you needed clothing that you didn't have, you could buy. It's not a third world country. It's a modern country with many facilities, and you just don't need. All you need is your a spare set of clothes, some soap, a pair of shoes to change into in the evening, just simple basics. You're just walking.
So less is more, and all of those, shall we say, first aid parts and all the bits of the first aid kit, you can actually buy along the way if and when you need them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's definitely, there's, pharmacies, farmacias, all in every town and city along the way. Or you just see that big green flashing cross, and you know that's the place you can dive into and get whatever you need. So, I took a first aid kit. Definitely, I wouldn't take, and I haven't taken them. On my first one, I took one, and ever since, I've not taken any first aid kit. So, and just like you, as and when I've needed it, I have dived into pharmacies and got what we've needed. So, yeah, great advice there. Thank you very much. So let's talk about favourite things along the Camino. What would you say is your favourite town or city or village on the Camino, and why? Where would you recommend people visit?
My favourite town was actually Santiago. I loved it. I stayed there for 2 nights when I arrived. I then went on to Murcia and came back to Santiago for another 3 nights. I absolutely loved it.
What did you love about it?
I loved the history. I met some wonderful people. Margaret Caffin, an Australian woman who has written a book and has walked many Caminos, and a lovely lady called Monica Davis who introduced me to some locals, and I just felt like I'd met some kindred spirits. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. It was lovely history, and it's got a great vibe. Everyone's excited to be there because it's obviously the destination. It's an amazing, amazing place.
So you'd recommend that when people finish their Camino that they put aside some time to actually explore, visit, feel the atmosphere in the city?
Yes. And Lyon. I love Lyon as well. That had a lot of history. I spent a lot of time. I spent 2 days in Lyon walking around.
Did you? Wow.
Yeah, I decided that my trip wasn't just going to be the Camino. So I had 2 days in Burgos, 3 days in Lyon, 2 days in Logroño, 5 days in Santiago, and I spent a week in Murcia.
Beautiful. So you'd recommend that if people do have the luxury of time on their side, that they put aside some time to actually get to know these cities? Yeah,
absolutely. Immerse yourself in the culture. And I didn't want to walk through Burgos and Lyon and not see the cathedrals and not walk around the back streets. Like taking one street off of the Camino route, you just see so much more of the country and the people.
Yeah, that's a really good advice, actually, because I think that's one mistake I made on my first Camino, that I just walked and walked and walked and walked so much that I was so tired I didn't even have the energy to do that. So, really nice advice there. And I think, look, talking about Santiago, one it's nice to see all the reunions that happen all over the city in front of the cathedral. Random places you might just, your eyes meet with someone you haven't seen in a week or 2 or 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. And if you do spend a bit of time there, then that will happen more often. I loved seeing the airport style reunions, like, wow, you did it kind of thing. And you get to share that moment.
Yeah.
It definitely, doubles, trebles your relation and your joy to see everyone else's as well. So yeah, great advice there. Your favourite albergue? Was it because of the town, or the hospitalero, people you met? What's the albergue out of all of them you stayed in that stands out for you?
That's easy. Casa Susie.
Casa Susie.
Yeah.
And where's that?
It was amazing. It's in Trebadello. Casa Susie, who runs it, and Fermin, her partner, as soon as you walk through the door, they meet you with a cup of tea. They want to know your journey, the nurturing and the love. There's only 12 beds. They're not bunk beds. They're single beds. You're treated like family. They cook the meal in the evening. And that's one of the things to stay there, is that you participate in the evening meal. You don't have to cook it, just participate in the eating and the sharing of stories. And they sit with you and eat, and you feel part of a family. And it was just the most wonderful experience.
Trebadello is somewhere around Osabrero, if I'm not mistaken. It's
yes, it's just before you.
It's on the way up, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I remember like a flyover or something like that, kind of around that area. But yeah, it's Trebadello. If you don't want to walk all the way up Osabrero in one hit, as Deana says, at Casa Susie, Trebadello, and you've heard all the reasons why you need to go there. So give it a try on the way up, definitely. Okay, so was there a place you didn't stop? A town, city, albergue, whatever, for whatever reason, but wish you did and would next time?
When I came, there was a diversion to go to Samos, I can't remember the town. I didn't take the Samos route. I took the other route, and I wish I had gone to Samos. Everyone told me about the wonderful monastery there and how beautiful it was. The walk I did was lovely, but next time I'm going to take the other way.
Okay, so that Samos, if I'm not mistaken, is in Galicia, isn't it? And yeah, I actually stayed in Samos. I actually stayed in that monastery albergue. It was a very charming town, and you actually walk alongside a river and over a bridge as you get there. And yeah, it's really, really idyllic, really beautiful. And there's lots of nice restaurants that do the local delicacies, chipirones. And I think one thing you mentioned in the answers that you so charmingly typed to me when I sent you the questions for this were the Santiago cake.
Oh yes,
the tarta de Santiago. Yeah. Deana would stay in Samos, so maybe it's a place for you to consider staying to when you're going to walk it. Okay, shifting gears again. In a way, it's kind of similar to this, but not related to somewhere you'd stay. One thing you'd do differently if you walked the Camino again?
I will walk the Camino again, and next time I will carry less on my back. I have no fears now. I feel a stronger person, and I would carry a smaller pack because I know that I would enjoy it a lot more.
Okay, so you said you'd walk it again. You definitely carry a smaller pack, and I would totally agree with that. I mean, I saw a post on Facebook yesterday from one of the group members. I won't mention his name because maybe he doesn't want me to, but I mean, it was really, really interesting. I think he only had about 5 items in his backpack. And
oh, yes. Yeah. I know who you mean.
I don't want to mention his name because maybe he doesn't want me to do that. But I'm just looking at the list now. I've got it on my phone. Frog Trog rain jacket, Montbell thermal wrap jacket. Yep. Sea to summit. It's got about 5 items basically, and only 2, like you said, only 2 changes of clothing. Travel toothbrush, Ziploc wallet, cash credit card, phone charger, Sea to Summit backpack, and that was it. And a passport. And I was really impressed with that. I was like, I want to go walking with that guy. He sounds like fun. So yeah, definitely. Less is more. That's the message we're constantly giving out here. You did mention that you do it again, and you did mention you felt a stronger person after walking the Camino. Were there any insights, anything you learned about yourself, life, anything that was an eye-opening moment, an epiphany? You know, some people just walk because it's good for a walk, and that's fine. I appreciate it. But this is part of the Camino, and you do get chatting to people who do share these insights with you. Anything for you personally? Maybe it didn't have to happen on the Camino. Sometimes these insights come later on when you get home.
For me, I spent 10 months planning this, and the night before I was to leave, I was absolutely terrified. And I can tell you right now, on that plane flying into Barcelona, I was thinking to myself, I'll hide out in Barcelona for 2 weeks, say I hurt myself and go back home again. But I didn't. I went on to Pamplona and I started walking. After the first week, I started to feel like I was getting to know myself. I was like a rabbit caught in the headlights at the beginning. I was really frightened. I'd never really done anything by myself. I'd never travelled overseas by myself. I'd not really done anything by myself. And I now feel I can do anything. I feel like a completely different person.
So it's helped you conquer many, many fears, not only of walking great distances, but of travelling alone.
Yeah, I feel like I'm courageous now.
And you're, in terms of like, you know, obviously the great endurance we have to find in our bodies as we walk. Did you find that you left the Camino thinking my body can actually do a lot more than I ever thought it could?
Absolutely. My partner competes in obstacle racing and is very active. And we would go for walks, and I would get halfway up a hill and say, "Oh, look, I'll wait here for you. I'm going to go and look at the flowers. You get me on the way down." But now I'm the first one charging up that hill. Like, I had no faith in myself, and a lot of it was in my head because my body was capable. I just thought I couldn't do it, and now I know I can. And so now when she says, "Let's go for a walk," I'm like, "Yep, let's go." And I'm planning new and different adventures. I feel like my life is exciting.
So what the Camino did for you was it smashed those mental barriers to pieces, basically, that you'd put for yourself.
Absolutely.
And you feel like you become a bigger, more courageous, fearless person for it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I'm reasonable. I do talk a lot, but I'm reasonably shy. But I spoke to strangers and I made new friends, and I would get up and walk every day. There was no excuses. There was no complaining. I just did it.
Yeah.
And now I know I can.
Someone said something to me on the Camino, and it was every now and again you have to frighten yourself to feel alive. And it sounds like you did frighten yourself a little bit, and you came out of it at the other side, you know, twice the person you were.
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Another happy ending to Camino. Love this. Now, you have been that person that was scared of walking the Camino. You were scared of many different things, like you said, meeting new people, traveling abroad, a country where where maybe the language was foreign to you. If you were now chatting to someone, if you were chatting to yourself, that version of yourself right now, what would you say to that person to allay their fears and to convince them that the Camino is the right thing for them? If they're thinking about going, of course, you're not just going to go up to someone and say, hey, go and walk 800 kilometres.
I do that. I do that to strangers. I say, go and walk the Camino.
I do as well, actually. I do as well. They're like, what's that walk you did? I was like, you need to do it. That's all I need. That's all I'm going to say. You don't need to know anything else, but it's amazing. Go and do it. I mean, my fiance Rachel, she saw me kind of, writing my drafts on a book I wrote about it and stuff. And I talked about it all the time. And she's like, I'd love to do that. And she did it with me, and she wants to go all the time again now, actually. She's always like, when's the next one? So how would you convince that version of yourself?
Oh, I just tell myself to do it. Stop being so scared of life and just get out there and give it a go. Like, just try. And once you've done those first couple of days, like that first day from Pamplona was just a revelation.
That's a hard day as well. That's quite a hard day because there's a big hill on that. You have to go to where the pilgrim monument is, Alto del Perdón.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, the Hill of Forgiveness, I think it's called. Yeah.
And that descent over those rocks
into Puente de la Reina. Yeah. That's
yes.
that is a killer of a descent. That's like 14 kilometers. Yeah.
And I just remember getting to Puente de la Reina and just being so proud of myself. Like, and that's what I tell myself. You are going to be so proud of yourself. Like, you're just going to blow your own mind. So do it. Just get out there and do it. And
I'm gonna pretend I'm this person now, and I'm gonna say, but where do you sleep? Where do I sleep every night? How am I gonna find somewhere to stay?
There will be a bed, and there will be lots of beds, and you will meet amazing people, and they will treat you like they're like family. And it's ask for help. That's all you have to do, from locals, from other pilgrims, from hospitaleros. Just ask, and no one will say no to you.
But what about the language? What about the language?
Sign language. I did charades halfway along the Camino until I eventually learnt the words I needed. Just learn some basic words.
Sounds and sign effects and sounds. Sign language and sound effects. Sorry, it's very early in the morning over here.
Communication with other.
Yeah. Dina,
communication with
let's ask this: a word in Spanish that got you out of trouble more often than not. What was it? What would it be? Or a phrase?
Oh,
can you think back to it?
Well, the first thing I learnt was café con leche, por favor.
There you go. Yes.
Hola.
It's very, very. You sound very fluent, bilingual there, Dina. I'm very impressed.
Just say hello.
Yeah.
And smile when you say it, and people will always help you. And the language of humans is just love. Just be open and smile. And the Camino is an amazing journey. It's a journey of the heart, the mind, and the body. There's no reason to be afraid walking the Camino.
It can be hard work for the body, but a holiday for the spirits. That's what I'd say about the Camino. I always found a word in Spanish that came in really handy. I live in Tenerife now, so my Spanish is pretty fluent. But when I first walked here, I didn't speak Spanish, and I found the phrase "por aquí," which means round here, came in really, really handy, because you could just say a word like, I don't know, farmacia, like pharmacy, por aquí. And people, Spanish are very expressive people. They point, they use their hands and their eyebrows and their noses to talk. They use every part of their body sometimes, but their mouth to talk. And, you can definitely use that. 93% of communication, they say, is non-verbal. So, just take a punt, serve up a word and see if it gets over the net. But definitely por aquí, which means around here, I found came in really, really handy, because you could, like I said, just say like cafeteria por aquí, or baños, which I'm sure most people know means toilet, por aquí, and that.
Toilet.
Yeah, because you need it, don't you? When you walk, you've walked 20 kilometres, you're not seeing a toilet anywhere. You're like, right, I'm in town now. I've got to get my priorities straight. Okay, so let's ask just to sign off then. We've all obviously talked about some wonderful parts of the Camino. What would you say is the best part of the Camino? We talked about your favourite things, but the best part of the Camino?
The people.
Right.
The people. You're walking in beautiful nature through history. Australia has 200 years of history. Walking in Spain was mind-blowing. You're walking to 12th century churches, and so the history, the environment, the people, I can't remember one bad thing about the Camino.
Not one bad thing. That's fantastic.
I did eat an awful lot of bread.
You ate a lot of bread?
Yeah, which I don't.
Is that a bad
home,
thing?
but...
Is that a bad thing?
Not in Spain, it wasn't. No.
That brings me to another Spanish word that often gets you out of trouble. You know, you've walked, 30 kilometres on the meseta, you've not seen anywhere to eat or drink, and you see a cafe in a town. Maybe it's going to be Reliejos. I think that's how you say it. Right at the end of the meseta, and you just want a sandwich, and you just say the word bocadillo.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one that gets you out of trouble. Bocadillo.
Queso.
Yes, bocadillo. Give me a bocadillo, please. And they'll serve you up those French bread baguettes that are the size of a canoe, and you just make it disappear in seconds. Fantastic. So the people are your favourite part.
Absolutely.
I have to really agree with that. Yeah. You made some friends along the Camino that have ended up being friends for life?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think I have, yes.
That you're still in contact with?
Yes, yeah, and I'm going back, so I want to go back again and again. Absolutely.
Would your partner go with you? You know, now you can say it to her?
I hope so.
Yeah?
I'd like to go with my partner of my brother for the next one. Toss up between the Del Norte and the Portuguese, starting from Lisbon.
Listen, I've done the Portuguese recently with my fiancée Rachel, and from Lisbon it's tough, huh? It's pretty tough. There's not a lot of pilgrim provisions along the way. Should we say there are, but not as
prolific as the Francés.
Not as prevalent and prolific as on the Camino Francés. Now, once you get to Porto, that changes. From Porto, there's lots of it, but from Lisbon, it's tough. There's a lot of flat, featureless land through farmland, and it's tough. It's fun. It's lovely. The Portuguese are lovely people, really, really nice. And what you'll find is, Rachel and I did it in December. And, we only saw about 6 pilgrims the whole time. It was so quiet. In some ways that was good, and in some ways it was bad because, sleeping in the albergues was kind of better. But from meeting people point of view, we were definitely, it was definitely something we missed, on that Camino. But yeah, I would highly recommend it, but just prepare yourself if you're going from Lisbon, because you sometimes have to walk quite far to get to your next place to stay. And 30 kilometers sometimes, on the first, second or third day. So it might be an idea to book in advance, your accommodation. The Camino del Norte has caught your attention as well. Yes.
Oh, look, it
looks nice, doesn't it?
It does. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, lots of. I think it's. I don't know what the terrain's like, but I've heard it's quite mountainous. But a lot of beach and coastal walking as well.
Yes, I'm watching Footprints at the moment, which is a group of 13 men that walked the Del Norte.
Right. Okay.
And it looks glorious.
I'll look that up. Is that on YouTube?
Yes, I'm actually watching it on Netflix.
Okay, it's on Netflix. So that's an actual series, is it?
Yes, it's a 1-hour documentary about a Catholic priest who walks with 12 men the whole way of the Del Norte. They do 1,000 kilometres.
Fantastic. So, yeah, anyone that's thinking of walking the Camino del Norte, that might be a good place to start. Look at Footprints on Netflix. Deana, it's been such a wonderful chat with you. After talking with you, it makes me want to just lace up my boots and get walking again. Thank you so much for your time. Any idea when your next one's going to be with your brother and your partner? Hopefully.
We're talking in the Holy Year in 2021.
Right.
If I could sneak off before then, I would surely do it. But I think in between we'll be walking parts of New Zealand. So, yeah, 2021 is definite, and New Zealand next year.
So a few adventures closer to home first. Now, the big question is, have you told your partner yet? Or are you just going to spring it on her 1 week before in 2021?
No, we went out and bought her a backpack and we're all set, ready to go.
Oh, you're packed already?
Absolutely.
That's great preparation 2 years in advance. Love it. Deana, thank you so much for your time. Buen camino, peregrina.
Bon camino.
So, just to go over those key takeaways from that brilliant interview with Deana Corcoran from Adelaide, Southern Australia. Really enjoyed that interview very much. So thanks again, Deana, if you're listening. And I guess the moral of the story of that one is maybe don't leave it until 1 week before you're about to go and walk 500 miles across Spain to tell your partner. But anyway, sounds like she took it well and she gave you your support. So yes, those key takeaways. Firstly, Deana said one of her biggest ways to prevent blisters was to put sports tape on the potential hot spots that she knew could flare up on her feet. So maybe sports tape pre-cut up, like Deana says, to save time when you're on the road, could be a good addition to your kit list if you know you've got hot spots that could come. Deana also sings the praises of using walking poles if you might have some knee issues, some knee problems. Recommends them because they reduce the force going through your knees by 25%. They can propel you when going up hills. They give you that extra rhythm when you might be feeling tired. And yeah, you can just put them under the plane and yeah, fly on your merry way over to Spain to get ready, or to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port if that's where you're starting. Also, she recommended silicone earplugs to help you get some sleep in the albergues. Sock liners she didn't use even though she took them. So if you're not too sure about the sock liners, if you're not 100% convinced, it could be an idea to leave them at home. But for those of you that swear by them, obviously take them with you. And the last thing she mentioned, well, two last things actually. Firstly, if you are interested in walking the Camino del Norte, then Footsteps on Netflix could be the series for you to watch to get an insight into that trail. And Casa Susi Trabadello, she recommends as an albergue where you must stay, a home away from home. Now, I really hope you got a lot out of that interview this week. I certainly did. I had a lovely time talking to Deana Corcoran. If you'd like to be a guest on the Camino de Santiago Pilgrims podcast, if you think you've got some tips and tricks that could help with help prospective and potential pilgrims, people that are thinking about walking the Camino or about to walk the Camino, if you think you've got some information, some stuff that could help them, please do get in contact. Send us a message on our Facebook page, Camino de Santiago Pilgrims Podcast, and give us a like while you're there. That would be lovely. Also, don't forget there is another brilliant Camino de Santiago Pilgrims podcast, and it's called My Camino by Dan Mullins, Australian host, lovely guy, great podcast. Give that a listen as well. And if you are looking for a book to read to go along with your guidebooks, my light-hearted memoir called The Only Way is West is available on Amazon on paperback and ebook. Just go to the search bar on Amazon, type in The Only Way is West, and you'll see my book come up if you fancy a light-hearted read and another insight into the Camino. So, fellow peregrinos, thank you very much for listening. We'll see ya same time next Friday. Meantime, buen camino, peregrinos.